Stability AI is really raising the bar. They have just released a 3D object generation AI, and it's called Stable 0123. So the thing that I think is absolutely incredible here is that it's essentially able to create 3D objects from a single image. So you take a picture of something and it's able to create a 3D, mapping of that image, which I think is amazing. They're showcasing this with a lot of objects, like you just take a picture of your computer or your mouse or your shoe and it turns that into a 3D object, which is really cool for a lot of reasons. And I think where this goes in the future is, think about Matterport, which is like a inside of your house 3D mapping software that realtors use. They charge thousands of dollars for these scans. Imagine just being able to take a picture with your phone and all of a sudden you got a 3D map of the inside of your house. All sorts of really exciting and interesting use cases. We'll dive into all of them on the podcast. Let's get into it.
We gon' bring it to you just like that. Welcome everyone to the future. It's AI Chat, bringing you the interviews and giving you info to be in the know from tech company CEOs of. Rock with us, bet you gon' come back. I'm just saying the facts. This is AI Chat. Let's go.
Stable 0123 is built on the foundation of Stable Diffusion 1.5. And this is, of course, Stable Diffusion's new Image-to-3D model generator. I can think of a lot of really interesting use cases for this when you start, I'm sure Mark Zuckerberg over at Meta is really excited with something like this. You could essentially have a metaverse where you take pictures of everything you have in real life and it generates 3D versions of them for your, virtual world in the metaverse or something. I don't know, right? A lot of obviously very useful use cases. I feel like I mentioned in the intro, Matterport doing 3D mapping of the inside of your home, but also think of how nice it would be. Google Maps does street drive through and you can walk down and see images essentially of your whole street. But imagine if you had 3D maps, it took the images, converted it into 3D. Imagine if you were in Google Maps and looking at everything around you 3D. That's my big prediction of where this goes, is mapping is going to be insane. So yeah, imagine that would be amazing. I would love to be following Google Maps, and it's literally a 3D view of everything around me. I shift the camera angle and it looks around. Sounds fantastic, and I don't think it's very far off. So of course, I think for the gamer meta type vision, metaverse stuff is going to be really big. But then I think just real life mapping is going to be amazing. So here's what it can do essentially. I think, it shares its VRAM consumption patterns as Stable Diffusion 1.5, but it essentially it uses more time and memory for generating 3D objects, which makes a lot of sense. But the model is better and is better and more performant at a couple critical areas. So they made a couple innovations in this new version that they created. And I was actually looking at so they have a previous version, and I was looking at their previous version, and this one is significantly better. So in the previous version, just from a bunch of the demos I saw, they had a picture of a couch, and when it turned it into a 3D object, as the couch spun around, on the back of the couch was a bed. So just created a random object behind there, And I saw the same thing. They had a sandwich where when it was starting to go 3D and spin around, the back side of the sandwich looked bad on the previous version. With this new version they've fixed a lot of those problems, so the 3D objects that are generated look genuinely like what the 3D object should look like all the way around, which is really impressive if you think about it, because a lot of cases when you're creating, going from an image to a 3D object, you don't know what's on the back side of the item you're taking a picture of. So they really need to know, they need to have a lot of data for the model to be able to just guess, for example, what the back of my computer monitor looks like, or if it's a truck, right? You take a picture of it straight on from the front, what does the bed of the truck look like? So I think, these things are essentially going to have to be able to guess a lot of that. And from what I've seen, they're pretty impressive. But of course, they've just shown me a handful of demos, and obviously they're showing they're showcasing their best work here. Here's 3 areas that they have excelled at from the previous version. Number 1 is, of course, they enhanced their training data set. So Stability AI has really carefully filtered the training data set from Objaverse, and they kept only the high quality 3D objects. So these objects have been rendered with greater realism than ever before. So essentially, they're just making the data set that went into it, they're just keeping the best 3D objects because, they're going from a giant data set of a lot of 3D objects. Some of them could be low quality, and that could actually make their whole model, render worse versions of things. Number 2 is elevation conditioning. So during training and inference, Stable 0123 is provided with an estimated camera angle. So this elevation condition enables the model to make more informed and higher quality predictions. Really, really interesting, right? Like it's literally telling it what camera angle it's coming from. And this is really important, obviously, because like I mentioned with some of the improvements in the past, you can't see the backside of an object. And if you don't know the angle, sometimes it just would generate something kind of wacky on the backside. The third thing they've improved on is optimized training efficiency. So the introduction of a pre-computed data set and an improved data loader is supporting higher batch sizes, right? So you can create more of these things, combined with the first innovation, which is resulting in a staggering 40 times speed up in training efficiency compared to 0123 XL. So 40x speed up in training efficiency is really, really impressive. All of those things together seem like they're really pushing this in a good direction. And now I'm sure if some people like saw these things, they'd be like, oh man, those aren't like photorealistic 3D objects, yada, yada. But like, look at where this is going from the last version to this version. My prediction is the future will be like any image will be able to be turned into like a 3D object. All maps will be 3D. You'll be able to do it from video as well, which will be super, super interesting. I think a lot of these breakthroughs enable stable 0123 to generate new views of an object with a deeper understanding of its appearance from a bunch of different angles. So in order to, help open research in the field, Stable AI has actually enhanced the open source code to 3 Studio to support 0123 and also Stable 0123. So this integration uses score distillation sampling, it's SDS, but essentially it's to optimize a neural radiance field, which is really just paving the way for creating textured 3D meshes. So in addition to all of that, the process can be adapted for text to 3D generation, right? So right now they're just doing it where you upload an image and it's able to create a 3D object, but they're building this in a way that we're going to be able to do this with text as well. So you'll be able to type text in and create these 3D generated objects that'll be really impressive. So they're starting with a single image generated using SDXL, and then they're going to be employing Stable 0123 for the 3D object creation. So Stable AI emphasizes in like a blog post that they recently did that Stable 0123 is released solely for research and not commercial applications. So people can't actually use this in applications. They can't, monetize this at the moment. But if people are interested in doing that and using this, they can contact them pretty much. So I think this is really exciting. This is a major milestone in the field of 3D object generation using AI. And I think this is offering researchers and also just like enthusiasts like myself and others the power, like a really powerful tool to kind of explore and innovate what you can do. This stuff's only getting better, so I'm really excited to see where this goes, and I will keep you up to date on everything that is generated here. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.